You're listening to The Echoes with me, Emily Andrew, the self-development podcast that explores personal stories, powerful tools, and an insight into the wide world of mental, physical, and spiritual health. Get ready to get curious, be inspired, and connect in. My guest on the podcast this week is Chris Gouldsmith, also known as Goldie. Chris is an endurance athlete and a performance coach with a rich background of adventure and challenges. He's committed to improving health and wellness of clients by providing fitness-related services to corporate, community, and individuals throughout West Wales and Pembrokeshire. Chris served as part of the British Army until he was injured whilst on tour in 2010. And in 2011, his twin brother, Jonathan, also serving in Afghanistan, was killed at 24 in a tragic accident whilst on leave. 3 years later, Chris, who had never completed a marathon before, decided to honour Jonathan's memory by completing 10 marathons in 11 days. Chris describes himself as a caveman, but personally, I'm not sure the title does this man justice. He's calm, courageous, and cares deeply about mental health and using his experience to inspire and support others. On his website, he poses the question, when was the last time you did something you thought you couldn't? And I think that Chris's personal story, the challenges that he has gone through physically, mentally, are all testament to that question, because he's continually pushing boundaries and overcoming limits. So this is my conversation with Chris, and I hope you enjoy it. I guess the first place to start is, who are you and what do you do?
It's a very good question. So I'm originally from Pembrokeshire, southwest Wales. Not many people know where that is, so I just end up saying Wales. So yeah, across the border. I grew up there since I was a kid, and I basically joined the army as a boy soldier when I was 15, 16. I joined the service, went straight out to Germany with my twin brother. We joined up at the same time, and I was served for 11.5, 12 years, just rounded up with the Royal Engineers. Very successful career. I was a military specialist diver, so we kind of got left alone, and got various trades. Went out to Afghanistan, Iraq, and obviously my service was cut short. I was discharged due to an injury in Afghanistan 2010, and a lot of life struggles in between all that, which I'm sure we'll dive into. Went out to the Middle East as a fitness trainer and went back to Pembrokeshire, where I run a fitness business, which I still do in the background amongst everything else. And I help other people through challenges, mentally and physically. And some of those can be Nordic walking, endurance sessions. I'm a performance coach, and I run various training camps for the Army elite team, cross-country skiing, out in Norway and Sweden. So I've kind of done quite a bit. I am now at the moment running massive building sites in the Cotswolds area. So that's quite stressful as it is, as you know. So I kind of juggle quite a lot at the moment. But as a brief.
Yeah. It's hard to put your life in a nutshell, isn't it? And I think there's, especially when you've got so many different elements of who you are and what you do. And I think sometimes when we are so used to telling our own story, because, we tell it a lot, we talk about what we've been through, and it almost just becomes this kind of reel of like, I've done this has happened to me. But actually, there is so much inside of all of that. And I was lucky enough to meet you at the big retreat this year. And I think we met on the first day when I'd not long arrived on my own and was just like deer in headlights, didn't know what I was doing. But I had the absolute honour of spending time with you and getting to know you a little bit. And there was a talk that you did with Harrison Ward, I always want to say Ford, Harrison Ward, the fell foodie, and Matt Pritchard, The Dirty Vegan, and it was just one of the most honest, um, inspiring, and it just felt like you were sat with people in a really chilled environment, but that we're talking about things that really matter and make sense, but are quite difficult subjects to talk about as well. And yeah, I mean, I think the plethora of things that you do is amazing, but I also think who you are underneath that is also something that is to be very commended.
Yeah, so then it was the first. Well, by the way, yeah, great festival, and yeah, met some amazing people. You being one of them. You've done some amazing things, and the two guys, yeah, we had the chat with, talking about mental health and how to cope with um, different challenges. We all got our own challenges through life, and to share them. They've had various talks on various stages. It was my first one. I was kind of chucked on the spot by Amber. She was like, "By the way, Chris, you're on the stage." I've done some amazing things. I'm a bit of a caveman. I kind of keep myself to myself, so I don't mind talking about all these things. But I kind of, thank you for having me on here to kind of draw some of them out, I guess. But yeah,
it just keeps me inspired meeting other people that have gone through different challenges and different things in life, because I think that the richness of life is something that we can kind of lose sometimes when we're just stuck in our job, our work, our life, and it just becomes so routine. And actually, if we can open our borders and boundaries, meet other people and experience life through their eyes, then we grow as a person as well. And I think that your story is so unique, but the kind of passion that you have for helping other people after what you've been through is just something to be really commended and supported. And that's why I think so many people want to shout about you,
mm.
even if you're not ready to do it yourself yet. Um, but I guess that leads me on to the question of why has mental health and kind of this personal project of yours become so important? Where did that come from for you?
What, as in the challenges? I mean, physical challenges that I kind of put myself through. Yeah, well, I'll go back. So I lost my twin brother about 10 years ago. So identical. My family have been through a lot as it is. So I didn't really have an option to just kind of battle through it. When it first happened, because we looked so similar, he was a Goldie as well. We had different lives, and we kind of, people crossing paths that didn't know the full story of what had happened. So they're like, you're right, Goldie, and I just ignore them because I don't really know who they are. And they realise actually, he's got a twin. After it happened, I was just trying to be strong for the family, and I didn't cry for the first 2 years, and I thought there was something wrong with me. But you try and hide it away. I had amazing family support and friends and family, and I pushed people away because I thought I was dealing with it in the right way, and pushed them away, and the cracks soon start to appear. So when I got injured in Afghan, I was discharged, so I kind of lost myself anyway. I was prior to that looking at the Olympic dream, as it were, in various sports. So I lost my way. I put a bit of weight on, couldn't train, and I ran away to the Middle East as a fitness trainer. I say fitness trainer, sports coach, some of the royal family and children. So I was helping other people. I can kind of direct my energy into that, but it was just masking what I was actually kind of going through at the time. And obviously I was away from my family. No one was kind of pestering me about my brother. Are you okay all the time? But it soon started, draining you, and then eventually went back to Pembrokeshire and Wales. But that was kind of.
So did you get injured before your brother passed away?
Yes, I did. Yes, yeah.
Okay, so that must have been really difficult then, because you've had the loss of, you said, like, the Olympic dream, and obviously you've been in the army for so long. So you had that grief to go through, and then something that most people couldn't imagine going through with the loss of your brother. Do you feel like the need to just hold it together for everybody else, was that something that just felt like, well, of course I do, or was that a decision that you made, or?
Um, I think that was just initial instinct. Yeah, just basically for everyone else rather than myself. I need to be strong because we're identical. I'm just a reminder to people who I come across. So it was like a bit strange, but I know I could accept it and get on with it. So yeah, I was just trying to be there for everyone else, and be their rock, really. Yeah, yeah, it's not easy. Obviously, everyone deals with it in their own way, but talking to other people, yeah, it's the best way, really. I can suggest.
So have you kind of gone through the putting it down in a box, not really kind of addressing it? It sounds like you kind of ran away a little bit, understandably, but and then got to a point where you were like, actually, no, I do need to start talking about this, about how I feel. And what was the point for you to make that change? Or?
There's, because I had amazing support around me. I was quite stubborn, so people could tell me I could have help, and yeah, I'm fine, I'll be all right, I'll just get on with it. But realizing yourself, actually, no, it's not okay. I need to talk to someone, and it's hard to accept, especially when you're so determined, and um, just how you hold yourself. It's not a sign of weakness, but at the time, yeah, I thought, right, I didn't want to say I couldn't do something. So yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
How was that for you, that change? Because I've spoken to quite a lot of guys over, the old podcast that I used to run, and I've spoken about it quite in depth. But actually, it is there. I think there are definitely more men now talking about men's mental health, which is something that's so vital and needed. But there is still, from what I hear, obviously I can't imagine the experience because I'm not a man, but there is still a kind of element of stigma about talking about your feelings. Or do you feel like we are a bit more open as a society now, talking about our, experience and our feelings? Or is it still feel like a bit of a barrier that we need to overcome?
Definitely a barrier is still up there. It's heading in the right direction, but yeah, especially with the military, the old school boys just kind of got on with it and dealt with their situations at the time, and obviously the cracks are showing, and yeah, we're getting a lot of suicides. I've had a lot of mates commit suicide that you didn't even think there was anything wrong, so which makes it even worse to accept. Whether if you could, yeah, well, just opening up, really, and that's the hard thing. So even talking about suicidal issues, asking someone, "Are you suicidal?" It's not a normal topic you bring up, but just listening to someone, even if you don't understand what they're going through, just letting them know that you're there and you hear them, is enough sometimes. And then yeah, just checking on people, making sure they are all right. It's all well saying everything's all right, are you okay? Everyone's going to say, yeah, I'm fine. Just kind of brush it off because they don't want to talk about it. But just like the warning signs, change of behaviour, character, that was a massive thing to me, because I started snapping at my parents. They might have hardly said anything, and I just snap at them because you got this anger kind of building up in you, and it's just a bit of a release, and you don't realise at the time, but looking back, yeah, it happens. It's part of the package, really, if you don't deal with it.
How do you deal with anger? How did you deal with that? Because I think anger is one of those that I think so many people experience and feel, but it's one of those emotions that people don't. It's not good to feel angry, and I think in terms of a male stereotype, there's kind of like an angry man, but actually, I think a lot of women as well experience anger and just don't know what to do with it, and don't know how to process that effectively. How did you deal with your feelings in terms of anger? Is that through the sport and things that you did, or did you seek
Yeah,
therapy?
so normally I'll go out for a run or a little jog just to kind of clear my head. But obviously at the time when I was injured, I couldn't train, so that was a lot difficult. So yeah, I'll go out for a walk. My head's kind of all over the place, and sometimes I don't want to be there, and I'm just like, I don't want to go for a walk, but I'll just go for a walk anyway, because yeah. And then being outside with the nature, I live on the coast, as you know, just walking through the woods, just clear your mind. And even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it doesn't really matter. It just kind of gets you out that situation of, that's just been building up all this time. I'm not saying everyone is going to enjoy that, but finding what works for them. But yeah, I did a lot of art as well, and yeah, I drew some angry pictures, but yeah, just to kind of like take that anger out, and you look at it and you're like, holy crap, that's that's quite deep. But yeah.
It's that expression, isn't it? I think anger is such a physical emotion to feel, and it's so because it feels so physical, it's not always something that you can just talk out, because
Mm,
I think sometimes it's so easy to suppress it by trying to express it in a kind of calm, rational way. Anger isn't calm,
mm.
anger isn't rational. It's a physical feeling. When you did say go for a run, I thought, oh well, I'm screwed then, because I cannot run.
Yeah, so trying to find what makes you happy. What's your go-to? Okay, I like a bit of chocolate, but that's not going to last long, because it'll scoff and I'll still feel a bit bad. But yeah, so going for a run, I enjoy running. So yeah, whatever tickles your fancy, yeah, I think it'll work for you.
So your process of finding what makes you happy, what did that look like? Because it sounds like you had the physicality of what you enjoyed was difficult for you to do.
Hmm.
Obviously, you were going through that time. How did you kind of build yourself back up? Because it's very different. Um, like our stories are different, but there are similarities in certain elements of them. And I can resonate with the feeling of having everything that you thought life was going to be ripped down in front of you, and the
Mm.
build up, the build back up after that is it can be really difficult. Like, how did you discover and build back up who you were after that?
As I was growing up as a child, mixed sports clubs, it was all performance based, and it was, I needed to be number one. I needed to be up there. So it was like push, push, push. And after being injured and feeling helpless and not being able to do that, it's kind of I looked at myself and thought, well, who am I? That is who I was. That if you said my name back then, yeah, okay, yeah, I was a bit of a machine, but that's what I did, and that's what got me into coaching, because I had no other option. I didn't want to waste my knowledge, and I thought, right, I can help other people who were struggling, and that's what got me into working with various charities, individuals with learning difficulties, Parkinson's, and yeah, that's where the Nordic walking basically started, because it's still got that element of cross-country skiing, which I eventually sort of gone into the coaching that side rather than racing. So helping other people cheered me up. I felt like I was making a difference, although I was still hurting. That outweighed what I was going through, and over time, I kind of built myself back up, and yeah, got back into racing eventually. But yeah, it was a long journey. You know, various operations and rehab, and yeah, and then other losses in between, sort of mates committed suicide and normal life struggles, shall I say? But yeah.
So going from, I can't race again, that kind of thing, how did you get from that to I'm going to do, is it 10 marathons in 11 days?
Yeah. So I've never ran a marathon before that. I don't tell many people that because they don't believe you, or just think you're bonkers. So the reason I ran 10 marathons in 11 days, so the training camp, the British training camp, the NDS, was up in Inverness. So I basically ran from Inverness to my hometown in Haverfordwest, Pembrokeshire, and it totaled 20 marathons. So I split it up, and yeah, so it wasn't just a random run. It took a lot of planning, and it was on the roads, on the actual route, rather than fixed events. But yeah, I had a couple of my friends, or my brother's friends, kind of join in, and yeah, we raised about £10,500 for a couple of charities. One close to my brother's military unit, the Remy Benevolent Fund. They helped my family quite a lot through the loss, so I thought I'd give something back to them. And yeah, combat stress we had as well.
I mean, I think when we lose somebody, in some ways, everything that we do is for them, or
yeah, you have a bit more
they
drive
are
to
in,
kind of to push and see it
yeah.
through. I think I've always got that drive in me, so I didn't really need. I love a challenge. I should buzz off it, but from the physical and mental breakdown, I just think I've got more to give. So every now and then, normally 2-3 years, I'll come up with some crazy challenge. But I think we've all got that in us. It's just trying to tap into it and drawing that out to see what you can achieve. But back in the day, Ironmans wasn't really that well known, and now it's more common, so it's not that extreme to the normal person, shall I say. So there's a lot more people doing it. So I ran half a marathon, had a little break, and then we'll do another half marathon on the 5th day. I had half a day off, so that's why we got the 10 marathons in 11 days. It was kind of a bit of a break halfway through. I had family visit me on day 7, and I actually, my VMO on my muscle wouldn't work. I couldn't really run that well, so I actually done a marathon in crutches, and because he'd driven all the way, I didn't really want to say, right, I'm not running, so I did the marathon in crutches and kept at the same speed because he ran alongside me. But yeah, not many people knew that, but yeah, there's a few photos flinging around. But yeah, it was great. Absolutely loved it.
I am not a runner. I put my hands up. If you or anyone can make me a runner, then you are, amazing. More amazing. But there is a mental block in, like, especially with marathon running, from people I've spoken to, not from personal experience, where you kind of get to a point where your body's kind of screaming at you like, I can't do anymore. And it becomes a mental challenge more than a physical one. Is that right? And also, and how do you get past that? Like, because that takes a lot of mental fortitude.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, people don't train mentally; they're all about the physical element. But like the saying says, if you don't train your mind, that's going to give up first thing, and your body's going to follow. You're just going to pack it in. But I say to people, I'll go back to the Ironman. People will train for an Ironman, and they have to run a marathon to say, oh, I can do an Ironman, or different elements. It's, if I was going to run around the world, I'm not going to train and run around the world distance wise and go, oh, I'm ready now. But okay, a bit extreme, but I'll bring it down to the Ironman. And it's about training smart. It's about training when you're tired, and just being smart and building up sensibly rather than getting injured. and going back 2 steps. So yeah, it was all about recovery, tapering, and especially nutrition. Everyone just gets wrong. That's kind of missed a little bit, and a bit of a dark art. But yeah, we built it progressively. So it wasn't just like off you go, here you go, right, 10 marathons, 11 days. But then again, I might do 3 on the bounce and have a half day off, and then carry on with the mileage. So I'm still running on tired legs, but getting used to that. Strength conditioning, very important. I think a lot of people miss out that on a lot of the training. I train a lot of clubs, triathlon clubs, and I don't tell them when I'm training them because people don't turn up because they think it's a bit of a thrashing. Because people just want to run sociably, and but I'm just trying to draw the best out of people. So my club know that back in Pembrokeshire. So yeah.
You've got a reputation.
a good one.
So yeah. A good one, but also people probably hate it when you turn up and you're going to do strength training with them.
Definitely, yeah.
So what got you identify as a caveman, and your experience, your learning, your teaching is kind of being drawn out of you? What is the driving force behind putting yourself out there in kind of uncomfortable positions, Amber to shove you up on stage? What's the driving force behind what you do now? And
Amber to do that.
no, I mean, that's what I mean. Like, you didn't ask her to do it, but you still said yes,
Yeah, because
I didn't see handcuffs up there.
No. I think the benefit of me helping more people than just keeping it to myself is just a bit pointless, really. But I'm not one of those people of, oh, look at me, I've done this, I've done that, look at me, I'm the best. I get that. It's important to tell your story to help other people, which I'm very bad at, storytelling, and but it's something I'm working on. Yeah, because it's just there's more information I need to give out to people, and just inspiring others to take on their next challenge, and that's part of my business motto, to draw the best out of people. I think that's important. Otherwise, well, you don't exist, you don't know about it. And there's some amazing people around the world who've done some amazing things for charity, for themselves. And exactly, without social media, things like this, talking about it, it's lost.
So I guess your main drive is so that other people, what is it, get inspired? Is it kind of know that they're not alone? Is it a mixture of it all?
Like, I've gone through a lot, and knowing someone else who might be in a rut, and to just trying to pick them out of that rut and get them back on track, is the main thing. If I can support them in any way, I'll go out my way to help them.
Yeah, I have personal experience of that as well.
Yeah.
On the last day of the big retreat, I was not feeling very well, and that set off a little bit of a anxiety attack for me. And Chris did not leave my side, and I was extremely grateful for him for that, because, well, you've got a very calming presence about you, which I think is very needed. I think a lot of people, like you say, a lot of people are very good at talking, and sometimes that can come across as people just trying to fix. And sometimes we don't want somebody to fix us. We just want someone to be there, because we do have the tools a lot of the time to help ourselves, but we just either need to be seen or heard, or just be in the presence of somebody else. And I think that that's something that you're really good at doing.
Yeah, like you said, you don't have to do anything. Just sometimes being there is enough. Yeah, but I kind of picked that up, that something wasn't right, and I wasn't going to leave you.
I was tapping away, and actually, to be fair, it was absolutely fine afterwards, because I tapped. I was like, I feel ill. Thankfully, you ate my bacon sandwich.
It
Nobody
was a
knows
good.
about this either. I'm just letting it all out on the podcast. Um,
It was a good
yeah,
sandwich.
that was the one thing I was like, please, can you make sure you eat this sandwich because I've just spent like £6 or something on a bacon sandwich.
But then again, you're at that state. No one knew about it, and then you're a completely different person. You just bossed it.
It's the power of tapping, to be fair. I was tapping away just to calm down because essentially, for me, when I get ill, it's like my body goes into another kind of, it's kind of like a panic attack, but not. But it's from when I wasn't well and when I was going through all of my stuff. And it's been something I've been trying to work through and I am working through, but there's still that like physical trigger. So my mind isn't anxious. The only anxious feeling I had that day was like, I've got to do a talk in a minute and I've got to like be okay. But my body was not playing ball with me. This isn't about me, but you were very helpful, and I was very grateful for you to be there, just so I could just lie there and
No,
tap
it's a
and
pleasure.
just be with somebody else.
It was remarkable to see actually how yeah, it was impressive. Like just to kind of you were like another person, just like got on with it. Yeah, it was amazing.
Hmm. So, thank you. But yeah, it wasn't me; it was tapping. So, I guess, what do you want to do with all this? Like, where do you see this going, or are you somebody that prefers to just be like, this will lead out how I want it to lead out? Like, do you have a vision and a dream for what you want to do with your work, or is it just kind of see how it goes?
Ideally, I'd like to open a performance training centre within cross country skiing. It's a bit of a missold sport. There's not many clubs in the UK, so just having a bit of a hub really, and linking in with local groups, charities, Nordic walking, cyclists, and a go-to hub when people don't feel right or just want someone to talk to, or just a quiet space if they just want to go out and go for a walk. I've got a bit of space, a little bit of land, or just a board with information or walking groups they can go off their own, and it's provided for them. I'll still coach and go around the world and help people, individuals, groups. That's my main aim really, and I'll always carry out my crazy challenges. And I've got a couple brewing up soon, so I'm sure they'll be coming out soon.
How will you feel? Because you've got a little boy, haven't you? How will you feel if he takes on the challenge gauntlet and 10 years time he's out there with you? Is that something you quite enjoy?
Yeah, I think he's probably switched on anyway. So he's just turned 6, named Yori, little Welsh name. Yeah, he's a fit little dude, and yeah, I'm not worried about I'm not going to push him into any sport. I'll always support him what he wants to do, but I'm sure he's going to come into that in his own element and go down that route. But yeah, I'm sure I'll do a father and son challenge down the line somewhere, and I'm sure he'll leg me on when I'm knocking on a bit and getting a bit rusty, bit of a fossil. But yeah, I'll just carry on what I'm doing.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. It's been really enjoyable chatting to you and hearing a little bit more about your story again, and yeah, sharing it with people, because I think that there are so many different elements, and you as a person, like, you have been through a lot, and it's really easy sometimes to say that, but actually the magnitude of what's behind those words is it's really important. But the way that you have kind of come out of it, and the way that you're using that to help other people, and I think that any especially now, like, so many more men are talking about mental health and looking at mental fitness as well as physical fitness. And I think that your child is so lucky because he gets a dad that gets it and
Mm.
talks about his feelings. And I think quite a lot of us maybe didn't have that, and it's kind of breaking the mold and the pattern. So yeah, think that you are a fantastic individual, and it's been really great to chat to you.
No, pleasure. I know we've just tapped a little bit, but no, thanks for asking me, and it's good to see you again.
Is there anything before we finish that you would like to say, or if you could leave a message out in the echoes, out in the stratosphere, of something that you either want everybody to know or that you want to kind of be remembered for, what would you say? If anybody could take one thing from this conversation, what would it be?
I just want to let people know that, although you might have support around you, you'll still feel lonely, like I did. But just making sure that you do keep talking about what's going on and what you're going through. Because it'll have a slippery slope. You just need to keep talking, just to keep your feelings out in the open, even if it sounds silly. Yeah, because I've lost so many friends for the wrong reasons. There's groups out there that can support. You've got various charities, but you just need to find what works for you. There's no magic wand. I can't really tell you one way is going to fit for one person. Just need to find out what works. But getting friends and family to support your decision on how you're going to direct that energy is key, really. So,
thank you so much, Chris.
That's right. You're welcome.
I will pop in the show notes how you can find out more about Chris, where you can go. So if you're interested in kind of keeping an eye out, I think Chris will also be at the big retreat again next year.
I will be, yeah.
So you can definitely make an excuse to come along next year to the big retreat. It is in May next year, I think, last week in May.
Yes.
And it is one of the best kind of wellness festivals that I've ever been to. So little shout out for the big retreat there as well.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for your time, and I know there's so much value from this conversation that people are going to take away, so thank you.
Good. And hopefully I'll be in better settings. I'm literally in the back of my van, sort of my office at the minute, so I'm on the go. I'm always on the go, so hopefully I'll in a bit better background by then. So but yeah, we'll make it work. But yeah, I'm glad you squeezed me in, and it was great to see you. And I'm sure we'll be on here again for a chit chat and another catch up.
Thank you for listening to the Echoes podcast. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and that you were able to take something away from it, even if that was just a feeling of not being alone anymore. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. And if you could do me one favor after this, it would just be to share this conversation with someone you know. The ripple effects of these actions can create something amazing and magical. And it might mean that somebody hears a story or a conversation that they really needed to. I will be back again next week with another episode of The Echoes, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there.